Hey folks, welcome to Breach Please, the cybersecurity show for people who are tired of being sold a firewall and a feeling. I'm Jake Williams, and with me as always is Jess Heavenstrite. The two of us, we've broken into networks, defended them, and shown up at 3 a.m. Feels like it's always 3 a.m. recently, right, to clean up the messes that everybody else has hot takes about online. So when we tell you something's nonsense, take it to the bank. Unless someone broke into the bank or whatever. Anyway,
You
here's the
know,
deal. Every
things.
episode, yeah, right? We take the security stories that actually matter, translate them out of vendor speak and into English, and say the things your CISO wishes they could say out loud, but can't because they have a mortgage. No fear mongering, no vendor scripts, and absolutely no synergizing our threat posture. If you hear that phrase on the show, it's still a duress signal. Breach, please, pull up a chair. Jess, we have missed recording a couple of episodes. What happened?
We have life and
Life.
recovery from hacker
Yeah.
summer camp and like having to be adults again. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, we
I
were adults before we went to summer camp too, right? It just became
but we
yeah.
got to like kind of not be adultish, I feel
Oh, got
like.
it, got it.
But now we
Yeah,
have to be adults again.
that's a thing. Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah. How
haven't
was your
even made
week?
it home yet.
No, no,
I
I'm still in a
literally have
hotel.
been in my house for 43 minutes. I just got home. So, yeah, but I had an amazing week.
Oh, me too. Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I can complain about it feeling like it's always 3 a.m. In fact, we,
Many
we
nights
we
it
were out
was.
until 3 a.m. Yeah, until 3 a.m. more than a couple of times. So, how just overall, first off, how was your summer camp?
For me, it was really, really good. I would say one of my best, actually. Um, you know what was really interesting to me, particularly at DEFCON, is so I saw preliminary numbers from the media server or something, and
Hmm.
there were actually 1,000 more attendees this year estimated than there have been in like the last few. Um, but it didn't feel to me like
Hmm.
1,000 more attendees. I feel like, and knock on all the wood, that we're starting to figure this out. Uh,
I
it,
I don't disagree with that. Everything that I saw ran smoother than I think it ever has, and that honestly is across all three of the cons. All three of the major
yeah,
cons I think ran
yeah,
smoother than I've ever seen them run before. So yeah,
yeah,
DEF CON especially. Just DEF CON especially.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
You know what was really
Cool.
cool?
Go.
Sorry.
No, please.
So, I flit around and kind of talked to everyone, and I would say, I don't know, about 95% of the people that I had never talked to before. So, not friends, not colleagues, acquaintances, but like brand new, first time I'm ever talking to you kind of people
Hmm.
said they were first timers at DEF CON. And that made my old heart pretty happy. And I was always like, welcome, we're so happy to have you. What are you interested in? And would try and like, direct them and, give them some swag and that kind of stuff, little trinkets. And it was just amazing to see these younger, newer, fresher, eager folks coming in. And then selfishly, I had someone stop by the goon contest area. One of the ones I had talked to stopped by the next day and seeked me out and said, I just want you to know that you made me feel so welcome, and it reduced my anxiety, and I really felt like I belong here after that. And I just wanted to say thank you. And like, I don't do it for that. Like, I just welcome everybody, but that made me feel so, so good. So good.
Hmm.
What were
That's
your
awesome. I mean,
experiences?
no, I mean it should make you feel good. I love it. Yeah, I mean, in my experience, I talked to more first timers than I I think almost unilaterally, folks that I talked to, particularly at DEF CON, although several of B-sides as well, right? I didn't really look Black Hat. I was at as well. It's not it's just not a social event, right? I mean,
No.
yes, vendors throw parties, right? But like you can't hear yourself. You can't you can't talk at this
Yes.
too real, right? And so yeah, so. but even at B-sides, and the pool party and whatnot, ran into all kinds of new folks too.
Yeah.
That really, again, and every one of them, right? Everybody I talk to at least, right? And I know there's an availability bias. They're good. But they were like, oh yeah, I'm having a great time. I'm definitely coming back, right?
Yeah.
Which is great because, I'm getting old. And I'm sure there's going to be a time when I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be able to,
Yeah.
I want to pull a win, right? And be,
Be on the scooter,
yeah,
stumbling up the
totally, man.
stairs to Hacker Jeopardy because you're trying to
Yeah.
dance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. I don't want to
Hmm.
do Win GPT, but I do.
Thank God.
What a horrible hacker jumper
That
category.
was
But
terrible. I was like,
yeah,
what are you saying?
right. But I mean, that kind of was the whole point.
I know.
Sadly, it just was bad.
Yeah.
But
Fell a
it
little
was
flat.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great to see. It was great to see so many folks out there. And again, like to know that there's a torch that's very clearly going to be passed, right? And
Yeah.
so, and again, right, like the other thing that I've been doing this a long time, right? And
Hmm.
hacker, hell, we used to have hacker like groups. I guess CDC is still around, Loft a little bit less so, right?
Hmm.
You name it, I can start rattling off other names here, right? It literally what their clicks. I mean, for a period of time, like was it gatekeeping? Now, granted, right, they were sharing exploits, right? You don't want to just like,
I mean, there were
randomly,
reasons for it, right? I mean,
sure,
understood.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't just straight gatekeeping, right? But
Yeah.
like there was a lot of that too. But
Well,
but it's great to see now like people are just like, hey, coming out and they're jumping right into it. They're being accepted. Like, yes, there's still some clicks. Yes, there's still some gatekeeping. By the way, if that's you, stop, right?
yeah.
Because like, what are you doing? But yeah, like everybody I talk to is like, I'm coming back, right? Like
Yeah.
it just, So, well, like I said, I recognize there's an availability bias there that
But you know what
we're
I think
talking
helps
about.
with that is with the feeling accepted and that kind of stuff
Hmm.
is we have so many villages now and we have so many communities, like it's an official category at DEF CON
Yeah. Yep.
for what, like welcoming and trying to find your group and that
Right.
kind of thing. And I think that helps a lot too. Cause like when I started going to DEF CON, it was not that. I mean, DEF CON 8
Oh,
was my first one.
yeah.
I'm 20 years old from small town Iowa, and my eyes are as big as saucers, and there's,
Hmm.
you know, soap in the fountain bubbling over, and
Right.
colors, and just shenanigans like you would
Yeah.
not believe. But it was really hard to like walk up to someone and like strike up a conversation, especially as a young woman. No one wanted to talk to me. No
Right.
one did. And so I think the fact that we have all of these other groups now helps with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I think I think that's just it's huge. It's huge. So what did you hear about though? Like I know you sent me a link in the chat and actually a couple of people, because I'm a Delta flyer, hit me on like, Jake, were you on that plane? And I'm like, thank goodness no. I had lots of other travel problems, but I wasn't on that
That
plane.
one.
What is that plane?
So there was a Delta flight out of Las Vegas to Atlanta. Funny, being their hub, where a rogue network was stood up and credentials were being harvested. Now, the very first thing I thought about when I read that was never go full Chris Roberts.
Yes, 1,000%. It was exactly the same thing that I thought about too, because I'm like, you've got to be
I was
kidding
like,
me, right?
what
Like,
are we doing?
yeah,
You know what? I bet not all of our listeners may know about that. Do you want to enlighten our friends?
man, what a tragic story. So Chris Roberts,
Sid
used to
Dragon,
be, yeah, it's a dragon. Thank you. Used to be a lot bigger. He was an OG, I guess. Like really, if
hmm
we're gonna come down to brass tacks, used to,
303, all of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
used to be much better known than he is today. And I say better known than he is today. He was just heavily involved in everything at this time, and it's
Hmm.
rolling back to 2015. And InfoSec Twitter, right? This is before the right wing Nazi stuff took over, used to be a much more vibrant community. And by the way, again, right, this is not a political judgment. Wait, no, it is.
No, it
A
totally
political
is. Yeah.
judgment, totally is, totally is.
Yeah.
But that drove a lot of people off the platform, right? Social media literally is a network effect, right? Yeah, I know you left. I got it.
I'm reminding our
Um,
viewers.
yeah, totally, totally. But I mean, it's a network effect, right? And so it gets less valuable as we lose people. But used to be a great, like it was, people had curated feeds from different researchers for threat intelligence. It was that
Yeah, it
level
was
of like,
amazing.
yeah, it was truly, truly. So that's the time we're dealing with here. Chris is on a plane in 2015 and says that he's taken over the flight engine, so the flight's engine controls from the infotainment system. Now, my friends, if you have looked at one of these aircraft, if you've ever had a chance to pen test one of these, first off, it's amazing. I'm sure as you can imagine, right? Like this is something that was thought about by I don't know. Like you can have the lowest possible opinion of Boeing, which fair.
Watch out, they're
But
gonna get you.
wait. Do you mean if I'm flying a Max 7? Is that the Max 8? Right? Which
Wasn't it the
one's the
seven? The seven?
I can't even. See, that's the
I
thing. I
was
can't even
alluding to
remember.
them killing off whistleblowers, allegedly.
That. Well, I mean, I'm not whistleblowing, right?
I know.
Yeah, no, but that's a fantastic joke. And by the way, too, even on the Max issue, like there was one that crashed, twice with the
Yep. Yep.
what was it, the system that was like forcing it down. I can't
Yeah,
remember the name of the
suddenly,
system.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they had problems certifying other aircraft in the line, and you're like, what are you doing? Right? Anyway, you could have the lowest possible opinion of Boeing, and you still would step back and be like, hey, they wouldn't rig an infotainment system in one of their aircraft that also connected to flight controls. And by the way, too, right, the people who run the infotainment systems, like, and outfit the cabins are not Boeing, right? I mean, Boeing creates the layout and whatnot, but like other companies come in and do that. Boeing does the flight controls. Like, no idiot would attach the two of those together. Anyway, Roberts, post says, I'm going to make the plane fly sideways or something to that effect. I remember you and I were working together at the time.
Yeah.
And his was it One World Labs, I believe. Is
Yeah,
that
I think
accurate?
so.
One World
That
Labs.
sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah, yeah. And so now, thankfully, this was a United flight, not a Delta flight.
Hmm.
So there was a little bit of separation there. But yeah, I did the same thing. When I saw somebody had stood up a fake captive portal on the aircraft, I'm like, come on, guys, right? Like, it was de-authing everybody from the real one, trying to collect credentials. It's like, come on, man, don't go full Chris Roberts, right? Because that story ends a bit tragically,
It
right?
does.
And it has real world impacts. It's easy to be like, hey, that effing guy, right? And it is easy to do that. Um, we were
But
working
he
together
went
and we
to
had,
jail for a while.
yeah,
His
yeah.
business went under.
Well, that's what
He,
I was going to talk about,
yeah,
right? Specifically, because
yeah.
when you and I were working together at the time, we had contractors, staff aug, with
Hmm.
us from
Yeah.
One World Labs. And so as Roberts gets arrested by the FBI, no surprise here, by the way, right? Like you made what can only be, I'm going to make the plane fly sideways, and claiming you had control of it can only be interpreted as a terroristic threat. There is no, yeah, I mean, yes. And so like ultimately we saw like overnight these people like, hey, I don't know if I have a paycheck tomorrow. I don't know if we have a company anymore,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so yeah.
And
Um,
he used to speak at tons of conferences,
all yeah.
published research. I mean, he was prolific. And I would say most of the folks that have come in the industry in the last decade probably have no idea who he is at this point. And
Right.
it's sad,
Well, it all
really.
stems from that. It literally
Oh,
all stems from that, right?
100%.
Because there's
100%.
like, I mean, I'm not going to break confidence or anything here, but like to say that there are second, third order impacts from, this second, third, fourth, whatever, the order impacts from this action. And yeah, like, by the way, too, right? This is not a 2015 was a different time for cybersecurity. I don't want
Yeah,
to call it a better time, but it definitely was a different time.
different,
I
way
expect
different.
these people on Delta, right, to get the book thrown at them. Like,
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Like prison time. And by the way, folks, look, I love a good hack.
We
I
love
did stuff.
shenanigans. We love, a
Yeah.
good hack. But come on, this,
Well, and I'll be the first to tell you, right? Growing up, and now we're in a dial-up. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to go all the way back there, right? But look, some of the stuff that I did, and it was even attributed to me at the time. I'd have gone to prison. I would go to prison for today,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was just, I mean, that's how you learn, right? There weren't cyber ranges. There weren't, right?
Mafia boy,
Um,
the question we
yeah,
missed.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, right?
yeah.
Um, so, but today, right? I just want to leave you with a word there. It's called unemployable,
Hmm.
right? Because if you're doing dumb stuff like this to, you know, either for lulz or to boost your
Cred
skills,
or, yeah.
cred, yeah, whatever. Like again, unemployable, right? I can't put you in a client network, right? And I can tell you
Hmm.
because I've had to handle some of these questions firsthand. Having owned a security business previously, where folks are asking like, "Hey, do you have anybody that's committed black hat crimes and hacking?" Right? And it's like I had to be able to answer no, right, to get those contracts. And if you're the guy or gal, right, who is pulling shenanigans on a Delta flight, for goodness sake, man, like,
It
what are
was
you doing?
just such poor judgment.
Yeah, yeah,
Such poor
definitely,
judgment.
definitely, definitely. Well, hey, speaking of poor judgment, right? Do we want to transition to using AI to patch vulnerabilities?
Yes.
I mean, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Do you want to? But are we going to?
Yeah, I mean, we
Yes.
gotta, right?
Okay.
I
We
mean,
got it. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Do you want to kick this story out?
Yeah, so I've actually had a few people reach out to me today for my opinion on this while I was driving the 4 hours home. And I also, prior to leaving, saw a blog post from Adrian Santamaria um, about AI generated patches basically being worse than human coded patches.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
and to me I was like, well, yeah, we've had so much research over just this year of the patterns of vulnerabilities that AI generated code consistently has in it. We have, um, other bodies of research that have come out that talk about um, the just how bad AI generated code is in general. And this study that came out that from One Password, it's called they have some lab they stood up. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it
But One
flawed?
Pass, what is that?
No, flawed's the project. I'll come up. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. I thought I had the name.
One Password published this research saying that they looked at all of these patches, like 60,000 or something of them, and ran them through multiple tests, and and uh, basically rated them on this scale of like S1 to S5, I think it was, um, where it's like uh, didn't introduce new vulnerabilities and didn't introduce like business logic or application errors, and then it just kind of goes up from there.
Hmm.
Um, Most of them were in that like 3, 4, 5 range where it either introduced new vulnerabilities, it broke the application in some way, or made some unexpected change to the
Right.
application, or could not confirm that the fix would pull through to future versions.
Right. Right.
And so all of these are a problem. All of
Yes.
these are a problem. And
Yeah.
so my take on it is like, well, yeah, I mean, we kind of knew, but because an AI generated patches AI generated code, right? So we look back
Hmm.
to AI generated code and what we know about that already. And for me, I've talked a few times with you here about how I feel like defenders are just more and more and more underwater. And
This is not helping. We
this
now
is
have the
not
research to
helping.
show this is not helping.
This is
And
not helping.
so, yeah,
And I feel like it's making it even worse for defenders. So yeah, we have to, go back to basics again and work on prioritizing, but prioritizing has not been historically successful. We still, I mean, I've not been in an org yet that meets their patching goals. If you work in an org that meets your patching timelines and goals, like
it's probably because your goals are like 30, 60, and 90 days for critical high medium or
right,
something crazy.
right.
Yeah, even then, I'm still, yeah, still be
And
pulling.
there's reasons for it, right? Like I
Sure.
get it from the business side. We have change windows, because we can't have an interruption in, a financial transaction or manufacturing or, all of these reasons. There are valid business reasons for why this is really hard. There are also invalid business reasons that, sometimes sound kind of like work is hard. And I've heard a lot of that in organizations as well. And
Yeah.
to me, it feels like more doom and gloom. And I need some rays of sunshine coming through here with all of this AI stuff.
Okay, well, let's talk tech here, right?
Okay.
The technical side of this. So you mentioned S1 through S5, and I want to discuss quickly what those are.
Thank you.
This is the way they categorize the test results. And so, by the way, it's off by One Labs. So that's from sponsored by One Password, it sounds like, or built by, funded by, whatever. So the part of, I guess, maybe. And so they did 6,000 patch runs. So
Oh, I
basically
was off by
providing
an order of
AI.
10. I'm sorry.
You're okay, right? So did you say
Yep.
60,000?
I did. Yep.
No. Well, they did it a bunch of times, right? Because AI is non-deterministic, which, by the way, I'm just going to throw
Does
out
that
there,
matter?
right? It kind of does, right? For those who don't know non-determinism, this is you take the same input and you get a different output. Um, I don't know, right? Like I have a coding standard, a, right? And now, granted, the variations can be minor, right? Something like extra spaces or a hyphen in the middle of a word instead of Hungarian notation or whatever. But like they can also be security relevant, and in fact, it looks like frequently are. So S1 is the scenario that this is the output where we have something that a developer would look at through QA and say good, right?
Hmm.
So we would accept that situation. S2 and this I love this research because they didn't have good um, evidence-based research to point back to, but I see this a lot in work and postmortems of organizations using that have gone like heavy into AI coding, where S2 is the vuln is fixed, but it changed the app behavior. So
Right.
technically now, when I go rerun it through DAST, right, or SAST, whatever, static or dynamic application security testing, I I don't trigger the vulnerability, but the app doesn't work the way it used to. Um,
Right. Is that a
this is
problem?
critical. Well, so it's not only critical, I know where most people's heads are going here, where they're like, oh, well, then okay, they're going to catch that in QA, right? But this is where we have to come back and note that a lot of these application, behavior changes break threat models,
Hmm.
right? And we talk about behavior changes, right? Like we're not talking about, hey, I can scan for cross-site scripting, I can scan for command injection, right? This is subtle changes, right, that require a human, right, or deity forbid now, an AI generated QA bot, right, that has knowledge of the
Are you
intended flow in the
suggesting
application.
throwing more AI at it is the potential solution?
Good Lord, no, right?
Okay.
What I'm
I was
saying is
I
that
was
so
very
much.
upset for a moment.
That's fair. That's fair. What I'm saying is that a lot of the QA that used to be human driven,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So okay, so check that box, right? So we've got the hey, it changed the but to be fair, fix the vulnerability. May have introduced new logic flaws, right? That can have real impacts, right? But we can't categorically say that introduced no vulnerability. So S3 is an incomplete fix or no fix. The way that I really reference this one here, the incomplete fix, and it did not break the app. right? But was incomplete. I've had $1 for every time I'd seen this, I'd be retired someplace, right? But it's we get the SAS results back, and it says, let's say for SQL injection, right, or 1 equals 1. And so somebody puts in a filter literally to block the string or 1 equals 1. If that's my test, the test now passes. But or 1 equals 1 is
I
a tautology, right?
right, right.
We could say or Jake not equal to Jessica, and it works just the same. And there are an infinite variation of tautologies, right? So it doesn't actually address the core underlying issue. It goes and very surgically targets the input. And again, I've seen a lot of this with AI as well. I'm glad they're calling that out as S3. But they're highlighting like it's a super fragile patch. We'd never accept this from a developer, but it's what we're seeing a lot of.
Hmm.
S4 and 5 is where we get into real problems here, right? Because S4 is an original vulnerability was fixed, but it created a new vulnerability in the process. Yikes, right? S5 is we didn't even fix the vulnerability and created a new vulnerability. So now instead of one, you have
Yeah.
two vulnerabilities. We're going to obviously link the research here, in the post. S4 and S5, I want to be super clear, are the they are the lowest case here. But Jessica, any guess on how many of those are S1s? What percentage of their runs um, actually created a patch that a
Two.
developer would accept?
So I read this earlier today, but I can't remember. I want to say like 3%.
No, it's actually higher than that, right? But
Okay.
not higher enough to the point where you want to ever trust somebody. It had a just over 25%, I believe
Okay, so a
26% pass rate.
quarter, but
Yeah.
that's still failing.
Oh, I'd fail. I'd fire any developer. I'd fire any developer that brought me a failing result 3/4 of the time, and that's what
Right,
we're talking about here, right? For
right.
various definitions of failure. I think what's really concerning to me, right, is that when you start looking at the others, right? So S2, that's the behavior of the app changed 20% of the time. So 1 in 5 they did patch the vulnerability, but introduced a logic change in the app. That if I have a complaint with this research, by the way, and I hats off, right? Because data driven better than vibes, right? It's
Absolutely.
the
And they made it in an
yeah, yeah,
sometimes this research comes out and it's like, what the hell are you trying to tell me?
yeah, yeah,
This was communicated well and in a way that is accessible to a lot of folks, I feel.
right. Yeah, but my one gripe, and it's literally my only gripe about the research, is that they downplay or don't, maybe I shouldn't say downplay. They don't promote us to a first level concern that these changes, right, in application behavior are themselves ticking time bombs of
Hmm.
vulnerabilities,
Hmm.
right? They make it out like it's a usage issue. My problem here is I can see a manager, right? I'm thinking, pointy haired boss, right? Before, Scott Adams went all nutso. But if you look at S1 plus S2, right? So, patched correctly S1, right? S2, patched, but also created some, behavior change.
Change,
So like,
yeah.
hey, I can live with that, right? Like my KPI, the one I'm being beat up about is vulnerabilities. It's 46%. That's still bad. That's still abysmal. But I can see somebody getting to the point because 46% is, fun fact, a very different number than 26. Um, I know, crazy, right? So the S4 and S5, did you happen to remember what the number is combined for those? Because now we're talking like big issues. Introduce new vaults.
So we still have 54% available.
Yeah, look at you mapping.
I
Yeah.
know. On time. Like, look at these bags under my eyes, bro. Like, I am
Hmm.
cooked. Um,
Yeah.
so the S4, S5. I'm gonna say 32%.
Now, so again, you're going high here on those, but so just at about 4.5%, right? Introduce a new vulnerability, but now,
I was remembering everything backwards, I think.
yeah, I
Because
think
I
so,
said,
right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
all good, right? So introduced a brand new vulnerability, is around 4.5% total there. That's ridiculous. So I want to like contextualize
Do
that. That
we
means that 1 in 20 patches, give or take, that this thing is pushing out are introducing new vulnerabilities, with about half of those not even fixing the original.
Do we
This is where, again, go ahead, fire, please.
do we know
But
how often that happens with human generated code?
well, so human generated code gets QA'd differently, right? And that's something they don't
That's
talk
true.
about here either,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right? So it gets QA'd differently. I don't think I have a base rate there.
Hmm.
And also, even if you brought me a base rate, I would tell you that there's an immediate survivorship bias there,
Hmm.
right? Because the base rate is influenced by the people who are submitting code consistently that's high quality enough that they're not
Right,
getting fired,
right.
right?
Hmm.
Um, I, one in five, 1 in 5 PRs from you, right? Patches, pull request, by the way, that's getting the main branch. Um, for the folks that didn't know, I know
Sorry.
you know, obviously. But one in 5, I mean, my goodness, like there is no situation in which you would not fire that developer, and you should. You
Yeah.
should walk them out the door, right?
But AI,
Immediately.
bro, it's cool.
Yeah,
Saving
right?
money. I can not
Is
have as
it?
many humans working for me.
Yeah. So I can't release these. I can't say which companies, and I can't like publish research like this, right? But I've had a chance to go in with now 3 different organizations that went early on, all in on AI and AI development, and they shipped more features, right? Every one of them shipped more features. Um, every one of them found in the 6 to 9 month range after they went all in for a given development team, they had a higher defect rate. So this doesn't this research aligns well with that. It's stuff that's passing QA, right? But is not long term. And by the way, again, a lot of the QA as they're going all in is AI itself, right? So
Right.
it's AI grading another
AI.
AI's work,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I've
So,
told you the story about seeing where the AI that one of the AI coding assistants I was using faked the unit test.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Anyway, sorry. I didn't mean, go ahead. Fire.
No, so I'm thinking future, right? So I know some organizations that have gone all in AI
Yeah.
throughout their SDLC process, went all in on the AWS AI DLC framework that was announced at reInvent. I think it was last year. Like all in, full on workshops, bringing all the developers in, bringing any like product in and architecture, like all of the groups, right? For these workshops. And they're generating code like crazy. I mean, they went something that used to take 6 months to develop, they're doing in 2 weeks now, right? So it seems like a win. And they're getting the leadership in these companies are getting pressure from boards, investors, all of that saying, you must do this, right? And so that's what they're doing. But you're saying, you just said like 6 to 9 months down the road, they found more defects. We now have this research supporting, that kind of thing. Where are we going to be in 6 to 9 months from now because more organizations are
Yeah.
still on this bus?
Well, these are organizations that have mature SDLCs and did not go all in on AI DLC, and don't get me started on that. By the way, the adoption around that, like again, has not been fantastic outside of like full on I drink the AWS Kool-Aid. Folks, I know this because people are not asking me about it in consulting, and I work in the intersection of AI and SDLC for a bunch of my consulting work. Like I would be hearing a lot more about this if this were something that broad numbers of organizations are
Mhm.
really adopting hook, line, and sinker. You ask where are we going to be? But the scary part again is the orgs I'm talking about have data, right? They've got
Yeah.
metrics to back up, their security program, their AppSec specifically
Yeah.
program. One thing I didn't get to here is 2 of the 3 organizations had the data to be able to go back and look and say, okay, we know the defect rate went up. That's just that those numbers are just there. How many tickets are we getting for defects, right? And then most of these again human or QA generated down the road, or somebody has an integration test and finds that something was written very narrowly for the test case. Again, this
Yeah.
is AI, just yeah, it's a hallmark of AI. But the really important part was 2 of the 3 orgs had data to show how long it was taking per defect found to fix it. And that number skyrocketed, right? In
Really?
one organization, it's more than 4x.
And was that for a human to fix it or another AI to fix it?
It's for a human to fix it, right? But if it's an AI, I know you're joking here, trying to be a little sarcastic. But even if we point an AI at it, it's tokens,
Yeah.
right? We're burning tokens like it's no tomorrow. But
Well,
yeah, a
those are
human to
free.
fix it.
It's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, tokens.
yeah. But the humans going in and looking at code that they did not write, um,
Right, so
and
they're
and
not
this
familiar with it anymore.
bingo.
It there is a lot being lost here. And quite frankly, 5 years from now, if this is how we're going to continue, we are so effed.
It's literally undoing SDLC. I personally, I'm sitting on the sidelines eating some popcorn, right? Because this is future incident response work. This is future consulting to rip
Brother,
all this
I'm getting
out.
so old for incident response work. I
I know. Well,
do
hey,
it till 3 a.m. except for during summer camp. Uh, regularly. It's
not
exhausting.
true. I was going to say you and I were up on some very late night incidents not too long ago,
It
but
killed me.
yeah,
Yep.
I know, ditto, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, I guess we'll kind of wrap this up here because we could rant about this for hours, and we likely will come back to this study because I think there's a lot of important lessons in the
Yeah,
study
and I
that we
think as we
didn't.
hear, sorry to cut you off.
No, please go
I
go.
think as we hear from other folks in the next couple of days talking about this, it'll influence, things that I didn't think about that, maybe we can circle back around. I mean, heck, maybe we can have someone like Adrian on the call as well,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
we should. We both know Adrian. This isn't easy. This is not a difficult thing to get. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to cover here, unfortunately, and we need to be out of time here. So,
Yes.
with that, any final thoughts before we break?
Uh, it was so good seeing you in person.
Oh yeah, ditto.
And we're actually going to see each other again soon, just a couple months, because we'll both be at Wild West Hacking Fest. So that'll be good.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's wrap this up here. That's the episode. Made you smarter? Tell a friend. Made you mad? Tell your vendor. They're probably using AI anyway. They're not going to respond. Breach Please is a production and copyright of JWJH Media LLC. All rights reserved. Now, legally, the opinions of our hosts are our own. That we are an LLC, so, meh. We don't need guests, but none of this is legal, financial, or security advice. Although I can tell you that in most cases, using AI generated mass amounts of AI generated code instead of developers is a bad financial and bad security decision. But again, right? It's not legal advice or security advice. Do your homework before pointing anything we said at broad. Thanks for listening. Patch something. Make a threat actor's life suck a little more. Follow the 3-2-1 rule. See you next time on Breach, Please.